So inwards goods. So what happens here is purchase orders obviously need to be put in place with suppliers, and then at the inwards goods area, the person receiving the goods has a screen like this. Something's come in from the food warehouse. He clicks on food warehouse. He sees all the purchase orders that are related to food warehouse that haven't yet been receipted in. Okay, we've got this purchase order being received. It'll show what's been purchased, anything that's been receipted to date, and provides the ability, and this bit here can be is typically customised a bit depending on the food safety regime that's in place. For that delivery, you can put in this bit down here, who the driver was or who receipted it, what the temperature was of the ingredients that arrived, if it's milk and that sort of thing, butter, whether or not there's a certificate of C of A, can't remember the A, but it'll come to me.
Analysis.
That's the one, certificate of analysis. I knew someone here would know. So C of A received, it's QA passed, and okay, there's a certificate of some variety received. So that bit typically we customise depending on the food safety requirements. Down here we've got olive oil, the particular packing slip number, batch number, the quantity received, and best before date. So all those fields available to be entered. So quite quick for the person in receiving inwards goods to enter against a delivery, and then having confirmed the receipt, all he's got to do is decide whether he's going to print a box label or a pallet A4 sheet label, how many labels he wants, and as soon as he does that and posts it, it's put what he's received into stock by best before date, supplier batch number, and printed out a label with a one barcode on it, which immediately identifies it right throughout the whole system that this ingredient came from this supplier, this date, this batch number, this best before date. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah, so we've got all that now. We've got all the incoming ingredients and products in the Ostendo database, ready to use with one scan at any point in time down the track.
This is actually
Yep.
on the tablet, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the drivers will tablet and enter information in.
Yeah, so tablets, and also people quite often will have just a PC. They can have a PC set up at inwards goods, and okay, that's where they receipt it and print the labels, make sure it's all properly labelled and receipted before it then moves on into the ingredients warehouse or packaging warehouse.
You might cover this later on, but how do you deal with like bulk ingredients, like if we get 20 tonne of flour and we don't actually put it into a container or anything like that, apart from a big silo?
Right.
You then trace that and know when one delivery finishes and the next one starts, and then how there's not going to be a barcode associated with it. So
yeah. So like milk, flour, anything that's siloed, then that's part of our review in terms of the best way to, and practical way. You've got to be practical. You never, if it's a third full silo and then it gets topped up with another batch, you're never going to be 100%, but you'll be able to make an estimate of at this point in time is when it changed over.
yeah,
So quite often that is you've received it, but in terms of what's actually gone into production, being issued out to production, that's the next part of the process. From this particular volume on, we can say, rightio, it's now gone to this batch, and then have that recognised in the system when it's changed over. But we're not going to put anyone inside the silo to check, when it's changed.
drop
over.
a label in before you
Drop a label in, no. So that's sort of like a special process that's handled slightly differently to this, but in terms of when you come to make that production batch, it's confirming we're now on, this batch in terms of the volume. So label wise, here's like so if the flour's in bags, that would be, you know, typical of going on a bagged pallet of flour. So not the silo case. Olive oil, yeah, typical olive oil barcode, identifying label. And this is an example of one for finished product that would be printed out when that particular biscuit was received. Then we've got the pre-batching, and this will probably help answer your question. So this pre-batching screen, we've got a production order to make. In this case, it's passion fruit slice. This is our recipe, and let's say we had flour on here. We would have the separate, you know, barcodes of what was in the silo ready for the person to scan. So okay, we're now on. We're through the particular flour. We're now coming up to the next batch. Rightio, we'll scan this one, and that'll push that batch of flour in against that production order. So one scan, in this case it's spice and sugar mixture, one scan immediately pre-fills the batch, the best before date, and then the person issuing it out for production just needs to confirm the quantity. Now in terms of this area, there's a whole range of ways of people, you know, use it in terms of what's you know, going to practically work for them. But once that's done, it immediately means that what's been issued out to production is tracked. And we'll come to the bit in between shortly.